Welcome to the Health Revolution, a show for people who want straight answers about their health, their body, and their life. Here we cut through trends, through myths, and recycled advice to break down what actually works and why. We explore physical strength, resilience, and mindset through real science, real experience, and real conversations. You'll hear from guests who faced challenge, adapted, and moved forward with intention. No hype, no shortcuts, just clarity you can use. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands real life. This is the Health Revolution. We begin now. Welcome, everybody, to the Health Revolution. We're excited that you are joining us today. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison. No matter which way you're tuning into us, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. We want to stay connected to you. We want to welcome all new viewers and listeners to our show. We're excited to have you join us. Our show is all about all things elevating the physical strength of the human body, the emotional resilience, and the mental mastery that we need to have an optimal life. These are the conversations that help inspire us to do more and be 1% better than who we were yesterday. And today's topic I'm excited to talk about because it is literally all about getting a grip on your hand strength, your grip strength. You may or may not be aware of newer information, newer research out there that points to the connection of longevity and the type of grip strength that we need to have as we get older so that we are able to be strong enough and have that sustainability. And so a lot of people don't have that connection or have not made the connection between grip strength and our life and our longevity. It's not just sports, it's not just athletes, but this literally affects everything that we do beyond what we might think at first glance. Our guest today is someone who is a world-renowned expert in hand and grip strength. I'm excited to talk to him today. We've got a lot of learning to do. First of all, watch this first. Meet Dr. Terry Zachary, a former professional golfer and sports chiropractor who uncovered a hidden problem affecting millions of people: the way we train muscles of the hand and grip. After witnessing repeated grip injuries among professional golfers, he began studying the muscle imbalances responsible for finger, wrist, forearm, and elbow pain, including conditions like carpal tunnel. That research led him to develop the Handmaster Plus exercise system, designed to train all 27 muscles of the hand and restore proper grip balance. Today, the system is used worldwide by athletes, musicians, gamers, and professionals whose hands are under constant strain. Dr. Zachary is also author of Great Hands, Great Life, and has helped over 2 million people improve grip strength, prevent injury, and understand why grip health is connected to longevity and overall wellness. Today, we will learn why grip strength and hand balance are essential for performance, injury prevention, and long-term health. Dr. Terry Zachary, welcome to the show.
Well, Adriana, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. We've got lots to talk about. That's a fantastic introduction, and it shows the diversity of these hand muscles and something everybody should know about that's not well known at all and actually quite ignored, in my opinion. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Diving right into it. You know, you were a professional golfer, and I'm interested in finding out more about that journey of yours. And then at what point did you focus on hand grip strength injury? When did that shift happen for you?
Yeah, so I had already graduated at that point, and I was in my own practice, and I had a practice that was about 50% athletes and 50% family. So I saw, diverse array of injuries come in. What I saw a lot when I was in practice was, I'm a Canadian chiropractor, so I saw a lot of hockey injuries and golf injuries. Those are my two main areas. At one point, I realized, if I'm going to take a run at golf, I played golf in college and pretty successful when I was playing around the lower mainland of Vancouver, which has a lot of professional golfers. So I really decided to take some time off and take a run myself at playing golf. Inevitably, I took about 3 years off, and as I traveled with the golfers, they would find out I was a sports chiropractor, and they'd come to me with their problems. Um, and a lot of the problems, I would say, well more than 50% of the problems were related to repetitive grip. So there was, there's wrist injuries, carpal tunnel injuries, a lot of elbow injuries with professional golfers. And I started to look at realizing that these guys really knew their golf equipment well, but they didn't know their main equipment, which was themselves, and they didn't know their grip well. So I started to help them with that. And once I saw the problems there, I realized these are the same problems that anybody that's gripping has. And I realized, I might be in the unique position to see both sides, have the athlete's confidence, but also know all of the anatomy of it. And that's when I got really into it.
Were you surprised at the number of injuries, hand-related injuries that you were coming across?
I was partially surprised because I'd already seen it in practice, but I think surprise is probably a good term to use. When I got out there, I would say almost everybody had some degree of a repetitive grip problem. Some of the younger players didn't really have it to where it's developed to where it's symptomatic at that time, but I could see performance problems when we muscle tested them. And then some of the golfers that have been out there a little bit longer had really obvious problems. And these are problems that were debilitating. They weren't just like, my elbow kind of hurts. They were, I can't pick up my cup of coffee. And as you know, as many people might know, in that particular industry, especially in mini tours that I was playing, it wasn't the PGA Tour. I'd never made it to the PGA Tour. So one dream burst while another one opened, really. But the people in the mini tours, you need to finish with a decent check even to make travel expenses. So yes, I was really surprised to see how much debilitating injury there was, and they had really nobody to turn to, and nobody really was an expert in this area. Anything they would do in keeping their hands, wrists, forearms, elbows strong would be very much repetitive grip stuff, and really they were looking at solutions that were actually making the problem probably worse rather than better.
So, would you say that all of them have to a degree, those who play golf, for example, and I know we're just talking about golf and we're going to talk about other areas as well, but do all golfers have a hand-related injury that they develop over time?
Well, it's going to sound crazy, but I don't think I've ever been asked that question, but it is, yes, everybody that repetitively grips. And you mentioned it's not just golf. We all repetitively grip. And so this has been an overlooked problem for a long, long time. But in golf, and I'm not just professional golf, you're an amateur golfer or you're just a casual golfer and you're gripping, if you're not doing something to offset that imbalance, you are definitely, and there's not a question about it, you are developing a repetitive imbalance, almost to the point where, just like postural wise, if we're doing things, we're always doing things in front of us, we are developing an imbalance with our postural muscles as well. And it's very similar. It's very similar to that. Now, it doesn't mean you're having symptoms, but that's one of the problems, is that you're developing it. We can test for it. We can measure it, but until people have symptoms, that's generally been the history, is like, I must not have a problem. I don't have any symptoms. Where we can show you quite clearly, anybody that repetitively grips in their daily habits or in their passions, etc., is developing a repetitive grip problem. And that's what we'll get into, because we can explain it from start to finish and kind of enlighten people what they might be missing, because it really isn't explored very much in health or in fitness.
So, where else have you seen this? Not only just golfers, but where else does this show up?
Yeah, it's we see it any sport that is repetitive gripping. So you'd look at golf, you look at tennis, but there's gripping in every sport. Even football, they're making tackles, they're gripping a ball.
Pickleball? Pickleball as well.
Pickleball is enormous. So, and yeah, we get sidetracked if we get into a pickleball conversation, because that's common. Because now we're also looking at a generally aged population that has developed over their lifetime probably these repetitive grip problems that they may or may not know about, and then they start moving a pickleball around and rotating the forearm, and they start seeing some injuries. The pickleball is common, but if you get into music, that's where music's a lot of repetitive grip problems. And then the next I would say is in the workplace. Dental profession is one thing that really comes to mind all the time. Dental hygienists maybe have one of the most difficult physical occupations. But I'd go with, you could pick anything, somebody on an assembly line of some sort, or truck drivers, or hairdressers, anybody that's repetitively gripping, somebody that's on a computer all the time. There is some subtle imbalances that we can explain that are actually very physically difficult, even though it just looks like they're striking keys in a keyboard. Well, what could be so difficult about that? Well, they're supporting their fingers with the palm down position. Really, their finger extensor muscles and their wrist extensor muscles are contracting the whole time that they've got their palm down. So it'll seem like they're doing nothing, but really they are supporting those muscles, and they're contracting the support muscles on the back of the forearm the whole time that they're typing. So there's many, many examples. Most of them are unexplored.
How severe does this get?
Well, the case that really got me into developing the product that I end up developing, and I had many exercises that I would show people in the clinic, probably 7 or 8 exercises to train all the muscles. But what really got me to try to figure out some way to simplify the exercise was an English fellow that I was traveling with on one of the mini tours. He had, like we were speaking about before, he had 2 kids at home. And in the mini tours, you need to make a paycheck if you're going to make your travel expenses. It's not the PGA Tour where you have sponsors and whatnot. And so he was to the point where he literally could not lift a coffee cup because he had tennis elbow so bad. And that was actually probably the case that inspired me the most to say, I've got to do something rather than show these athletes 7 or 8 exercises that they really don't remember, and they're really going to have a hard time doing while they're traveling. So it gets so debilitating. Tennis elbow carpal tunnel syndrome, some of the wrist injuries we've seen get so debilitating that you really can't even do your regular daily activities, let alone, hit a golf ball or play a guitar or hold an instrument in an office. Very debilitating. And it's subtle, and then it's debilitating. And that's one of the things I want to show people is you want to understand your body and you want to train it properly for your daily habits. You don't want to wait till it's debilitating. So we're trying to educate people about this area.
Can you, for our viewers and listeners, explain the difference between tennis elbow and carpal tunnel?
Yeah, well, tennis elbow is it's also called lateral epicondylitis, and it's kind of a fancy name for part of the humerus bone, the upper bone of your arm, and one of the bumps on it is the lateral epicondyle, and that's where finger and wrist extensor muscles attach. That's probably a lot of gibberish to a lot of people, but all it means it's an inflammation of that area, and what that area is, the finger extensors and the wrist extensors act a lot in supporting the grip. So when we're gripping something, those muscles are contracting. And when they've been overused, and especially in one plane that I'll probably be talking about as we speak more, when they contract in one plane, it's almost like holding a brick in your arm and hold it in one position like that and saying, well, this is a bicep exercise. Well, no, it's not. You should be going through a full range of motion, shouldn't you? And that person that criticizes would be right. We should be taking these muscles through a full range of motion. But with lateral epicondylitis, tennis elbow, we're not. We're squeezing something, but we're never actually using the extensor muscles properly. And that's something we do now. Carpal tunnel syndrome, even though it's related to repetitive grip. So now, instead of my repetitive gripping causing a problem at the elbow, my repetitive gripping, see, we've got 9 muscles that close the hand that are on the front of the fingers, thumb, hand, wrist, forearm, and elbow. When those muscles are overused, you can almost see the cleavage right between my small finger and thumb. It shuts down. That's where the carpal tunnel is. So if I'm always using these flexor muscles, but never using the opposing extensor and spreading muscles called abductor muscles, right? We're not going to see that carpal tunnel supported very well. And number 2, we're not going to see very good blood flow and lymph drainage through it. So the pressure in the carpal tunnel builds from that poor vascular flow, but also for the shutting down and collapsing of the carpal tunnel, Both are due to regular repetitive gripping, and over time, that's the imbalances that you see.
So as you're working with athletes, you start in that area. You're noticing that that this is a need that needs to be addressed. At what point did you realize that the general population is being affected by conditions like this more than we realize, that we're not, that the overuse of certain movements, repetitive use, is causing these conditions?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question, because when I first started working with a solution to repetitive gripping, it was literally I was very sports focused. I've always been sports focused in my life, and it was to train athletes so that we don't develop these imbalances, and not just for the prevention. We want a performance. So you speak, and one of the things I like about your show is you're trying to say, hey, what can we do to get 1% better, 1 degree better? Just those minimal things. And as a professional athlete, that's one of the things we always looked for. What can I do today to get a little better? And I think what I saw was people that really didn't understand grip in sports. And then when I took it to other places, of course, when I got back into practice, I was able to see repetitive grip everywhere. It's just like I had a special pair of glasses on all of a sudden. And I'm just going like, this is not just sports. This is music was the next thing I really started to see. And then in my practice, I was right beside a dental practice. So I took care of all the people in all the assistants and dental hygienists and dentists in that practice. And then we've always taken surface EMG pictures of grip. So we attach electrodes to the muscles of both the closing muscles and opening muscles, and we watch the patterns. And when I saw the dental patterns, they were almost as bad as like climbers and stuff like that. So once you see it one place, and even as we discuss it and show the mechanics today, you'll see it everywhere. And that's the experience I had. And then it was quite easy to speak with authority to these other professions and these other pursuits. And even gamers, we work with gamers a lot, and gamers are a nightmare for not just grip but posture. Obviously, they often come hand in hand, but grip has really been overlooked, and it's a huge problem for a good percentage of the population.
So, how quickly, when one does an action move with their hands and grip, how quickly does it become a problem if it becomes a consistent movement that they're just doing going forward?
Yeah, that kind of depends. Every individual is a little bit different on just kind of the makeup of their tissues, what they eat, how much they move in general, what their thought process is. There's so much that feeds into what your tissues end up being. But generally speaking, when you're doing something, and again, these professional golfers that I was dealing with, or like a professional musician, or somebody that's like, I'll use dental hygienist. I don't want to gang up the dental hygienist, but it's a really difficult physical venture or profession. Um, they will be doing it. They will be going into really aggressive, repetitive gripping uh, every pretty much every day of their life. Professional golfers, they usually rarely take a day off. So it doesn't take long to develop the imbalance. It's happening fairly quickly, where they could be training differently to improve their performance. But with most people, if you're into it for, I'm even going to say 3 to 5 years, you're usually noticing problems. We like to tell people I really try not to talk about symptoms too much, even though that's what brings people to us for sure. But I like to talk about them as, start to understand your body. We can teach you about this area, and then just start to train it to maximize your performance. And these types of injuries that we talk about on a regular basis, the chances of you getting them are going to be slim to none, because you've trained and prepared yourself so well.
How bad can it get if it's not addressed? The overuse, the excessive grip strength, to where something becomes noticeable. How bad can it get?
Well, it can. I mean, like I say, we talked about earlier about the tennis elbow case. I mean, I've seen many cases where they're literally debilitating. The person can't do anything, and there's a tennis elbow on the outside of the elbow. There's what they'll call a golfer's elbow or a medial epicondylitis on the inside of the elbow, those can both be debilitating because they are the support of your grip. So once they're inflamed, especially acutely inflamed, you really can't do anything. You can't grip anything. Carpal tunnel syndrome. There's things like thumb problems. There's de Quervain's tenosynovitis. It's a fancy term just meaning that there's inflammation at the extensor side of the thumb. These types of things, once they develop, you really cannot do anything with that hand because our upper extremity is the function of our upper extremity is to grip. Sure, we might hug people, that's another thing, but generally speaking, 90% of what we do while we have arms is to grip something. So it becomes very debilitating because everything we're doing with our arms has to do with grip. And again, that's why when we come to shows like yours, Adriana, this is something where we have to really wake people up to. This is an area that's like, who cares about the grip? Maybe I'll take one of these coiled, grip strength trainers and do this every now and then, and that'll make me stronger with my grip. But they don't understand the diverse problems that come from this whole, I call it a kinetic chain, but it just means this whole chain of grip. It could be your thumb, it could be your finger, it could be your carpal tunnel, could be your wrist, could be your forearm, could be your elbow, all due to the same pattern, the same imbalance of those muscle groups as a whole. So somebody could say, well, I've just got an elbow problem. No, you don't. You'll have an imbalance at that whole kinetic chain of grip. And we know that. So that's why we don't specifically talk about this area. We say, get it all straight and you'll perform better, and the chance of you injuring it will be slim to none.
We got more to talk about. First, we're going to take a commercial break. Stay right there. We're coming back.
So in the calm bag, it has GABA, thionine, and taurine. So thionine, which is B1, which is also in our B complex, but it also helps with the stress response levels. It also helps with the neurological transmitters in our brain. Combined with the GABA, and then you add taurine to it. Taurine is a non-essential amino acid in our body, but it's found in our heart, our brain, and our eyes. So in my personal opinion, it's very essential in our lives. But taurine has a calming effect as well. When I was battling all my AFib issues, I was taking high doses of taurine because that would help with my AFib. It would help with the palpitations I was having. And it also helped with the anxiety of having the palpitations because I knew what was going on, and so taurine helps a lot with that as well. So those three together create such a wonderful concoction that just really calms people down.
Introducing Launchpad, the perfect partner to help you launch your dream project to the world. We know that time is of the essence, and we're here to help you make the most of it. With Launchpad, you'll get access to the most advanced digital tools and strategies to take your idea from a mere concept to a fully fledged success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, we have everything you need to make your mark in the world. Launchpad, your ultimate launch partner.
We're back, everybody. Dr. Terry, so you mentioned before the break that there are 27 muscles in the hand, and most people don't know about it. I think I knew it was 20 something, but I forgot. And so, yes, 27 muscles. So can you explain how they work, what we don't know about that muscle group?
Yeah, it's actually a really good general information for the listeners to understand. Basically, the reason I say that is that it's a really quite a complicated area, and you're not alone. Like when somebody says, even the health and fitness experts, this, if you ask them about the muscles, hey, what do you remember from school and from from practice? And it's pretty hard to remember them all. That's why we simplify them. So basically, if I looked at the front, I'm going to try to show you this. The front of my hand is you're going to have 9 muscles that close your hand, like we already talked about. And those attach really importantly in the thumb, the fingers, the hand, the wrist, the carpal tunnel, the forearm, and the elbow. Now, equally to understand, you have 9 muscles that open and spread the hand, and they are on the back of that same path. Okay, so they are balanced. So we want to keep those 18 muscles balanced. But then what's most people forget about is that we also have 9 muscles that control the position of your wrist when you're gripping. So if I'm gripping as, let's say, a guitarist or a hockey player or a dental hygienist, like I'm picking on today, those wrist positions that are always kind of used the most, those are going to be what they're going to adapt into. So in other words, when they use those 9 muscles in a certain pattern, but then they go paint the house or weed whack their yard, that's when they can get an injury. So we do not want people to adapt into their regular repetitive gripping habits. And that's what happens over time. If they're whatever situation they're in, like I had professional golfers, they adapt into this particular imbalance. We want them to say, either you quit your profession if you don't want to get imbalanced, or you learn about your body. You train the muscles that close the hand, the muscles that open, spread the hand, and then the 9 muscles that control the position of your wrist. And that's what we do. It sounds complicated, but we can make them take those 27 muscles through a full natural range of motion so that they don't develop those repetitive grip imbalances.
So, what is the common mistake that people make when they are focusing on grip strength, or whether they're wanting to improve grip strength? You brought up a couple of devices first, like a grippy, like a stress ball, for example, or perhaps some of those fitness, those grip, those
Coiled
devices.
grippers. Yeah.
And so, talk a little bit about that. What's a big mistake that people make that they're doing right now that they don't know that they're doing?
Yeah, you really just pointed it out, Adriana. Is one of the things that'll happen is that that is what's happened over time, is that people think hand exercise is, we see, okay, I see that I'm using those muscles, however many there are, I'm using those muscles to grip. And so what they do is they say, well, if I'm using those muscles to grip and my activity is to grip, I'm going to just grip more and make those stronger. The problem is you have 27 muscles that it's actually a co-contraction. So anytime I contract to grip something, those 9 extensor muscles are gripping just as much. And then those 9 wrist support muscles are gripping are working to support that particular position of the wrist. So the mistake that people make is they've never been taught that there's 27 muscles that need to be trained through their full range of motion. And that's for strength and for balance, and something we'll likely talk about. It really, really important is for blood flow and circulation. So that is the key thing that people are missing, is that I'm using these hands all the time. They're very important in what my activity is, but yet I don't understand them. And so I'm taking something and sometimes people get a little squeeze ball. That's what we all probably used to do. I used to do it. I used to have a coiled gripper. I used to think that was right until I started learning about the body, and then I started seeing these injuries. That's the common mistake. And the more we educate people, Adriana, the more we're going to see how important this area is, and the more we can understand and then prepare it properly.
So, how much time will it take for someone to do some of these exercises that you're demonstrating? How long will it take to begin to improve, especially if you take somebody who is say an accountant, and that they're constantly typing, or someone who is constantly doing, that's what they do, hours and hours off on hand. How often should they be addressing what repetitive movements, offsetting what movements they're doing right now?
So when we talk to people, Adriana, that about their repetitive gripping, they should be doing it on a daily basis. And the reason is you've got to make it a fair fight. Like once we understand these muscles, and by the way, like even talking to your audience for the short time we have about the 27 muscles, once they start to process it, they'll see like if I am, and we'll use your accountant example. So if I'm going in there and I am on the computer a lot and I'm doing that a lot, so if that's going to be what we do, we're going to develop these imbalances. We have to do something. I do it during the day. If I don't want to develop imbalances, I have to do something to offset it during the day as well. So, and again, it's the strength of the product that we've developed is that I don't have to now spend. I'm going to say it used to take us 15 to 20 minutes to train, to work with one session with an athlete to train with all these different devices laying around. We'd have to switch elastic bands to all the fingers to get the spreading muscles. It was very complicated. And from the experience of being on tour, the players that I was working with, they don't have a lot of time. They don't have they're thinking of a lot of things, like schedule, practice, exercising other areas of their body. So we had to simplify it a lot. So now with the product that we developed, it literally takes 30 seconds to a minute to work all 27 muscles through a full natural range of motion. So it's what we've wanted to do to take the problem of the accountant or whatever, fill in the blank, whoever's repetitive gripping. If I'm doing it all day and I don't do something to offset it, it's not a fair fight. The muscles that you're using all day are going to eventually dominate the ones that you aren't using, and we're going to run into static muscles and imbalance. So it is just something where if you're going to do it daily, you have to offset it daily.
Like once an hour, once every couple hours?
Yeah, what we suggest, because we are going to physically, and when people feel this, and the product we developed looks like a little toy, Adrian. I'll tell you, when people look at it, they go, come on, what could this possibly do? And then they feel it. So we have such I would say, a specific exercises to address all of those 27 muscles. When they feel it, it's going to feel, they're going to only take a minute, minute to a minute and a half max, because it challenges them so aggressively. So the reason I say that is 1 to 3 times daily is what we suggest. So you could be doing typing all day. Well, it's not that aggressive. You're not using the muscles that aggressively. When you offset it using our product, you will get a workout in 30 seconds to a minute for most people that will more than offset what you've probably done during the day. And then, the reason we want it multiple times, if you do it daily, you're probably going to do pretty darn well. But if you do it a couple times a day, maybe 3 times a day, then it's even a whole different story. Now you've really prepared your body for all these situations.
What's your take on carpal tunnel surgery?
Whoa, boy, you go right for it, don't you, Adriana? My take on carpal tunnel syndrome surgery is that it's just as we've talked about, the carpal tunnel is not well understood. So I think rarely would any of your guests ever say or ever have asked or been explained the question, how do you make the carpal tunnel strong? How do I exercise my carpal tunnel? It's just not a question we've ever heard. And yet, I'll also explain it. Some specific stuff to that is the top of the carpal tunnel. There's actually 5 flexor muscles of your hand that attach directly under the top of the carpal tunnel. So if we don't understand that every time I'm gripping something, and let's use an example for like a lady that's maybe a seamstress or somebody that sews or knits a lot. Look what I'm doing. When I do it such a small range of motion, that carpal tunnel is shutting right down. And so when when I'm going to say that person that knits a lot walks into their doctor and says, I'm having a lot of pain in here and a lot of numbness in here. And if somebody suggests that they should take, a painkiller or just put their hand in a brace, and if that doesn't work, we're going to go to surgery, I think we can say that that's kind of ridiculous, right? Because we know that if I train the opposing 9 muscles, the muscles that open and spread the hand, look how wide that carpal tunnel is. And the second factor, Adrienne, in that is if I'm taking my hand through a full natural range of motion, I'm stimulating so much blood flow, so much lymph drainage that I'm not creating this pressure inside the carpal tunnel. So my idea, okay, some cases maybe they go to surgery, but we've even had a study. We had a study done, I think, in 2017, 2018, that took a group of people with mild to moderate carpal tunnel syndrome, electrically diagnosed, and they ended up using, it was our product that we sent them. We didn't know what they were doing in this study, but we sent them the product. We sent them medium strength, and 1/3 of those carpal tunnel syndrome patients were completely symptom free, and that's without us kind of monitoring the exercise. So it's a long explanation, but I think carpal tunnel syndrome, we have to look at strengthening the carpal tunnel properly and then seeing how many have to go to a carpal tunnel surgery.
You're not only a hand expert, grip strength expert, but also you're an author. And so I just want to bring to our viewers and listeners' attention to your book as we pull up a slide here, Great Hands, Great Life, Why Proper Hand Exercise Must Be Part of Your Life. Talk a little bit about when you wrote the book, who's it for, and the purpose for the book.
Well, the book has been out, I think, for about 3 years now. And Adriana, the reason I wrote the book is all the things that we're talking about here. Now, I think when we come onto programs like yours and we get to talk to the audiences about this super important area, we can say 9 muscles close the hand, 9 muscles open and spread the hand, 9 muscles support the position of the wrist. And if that's all the information they want, and that will make sense to a lot of people, they right there will be changed in the way that they perceive their hands and they perceive grip. But there's some people that want to nerd out a little bit more, and I'm one of them. And there's a lot of obviously health and professionals, but just lay people can read that book, and it just shows them how the muscles generally lay out. It doesn't go too much in depth, but then it relates it to, what does this mean to your fingers? What does this mean to your thumb? There's chapters on each. What does it mean to your carpal tunnel? It gets in depth on that. And carpal tunnel and tennis elbow, carpal tunnel syndrome and tennis elbow were the two really motivating conditions that really got me to say, okay, this is ridiculous. We have to understand this area because nobody does. And we have to figure out a way to train it properly so we can prevent and make these areas strong. So the book goes into all those things. It goes into then different, if you're an athlete, some different exercises. If you're a musician, if you're workplace injuries, gamers, it goes into some specific things that might speak directly to a specific reader. But generally speaking, it is explaining all the details and why this area is so important. It also gets into the idea, there's something that we talk about. I know you dealt with you deal with like perseverance in life and things like that, and kind of what does it take? There's actually a chapter that talks about the hand closing compared to the hand opening and relates it to life. Like, how much am I taking in for myself, and then how much am I giving back? And it's a bit of a metaphor to say, that's the same imbalance with the hand muscles that we see in life. Like, we take in information, we got to give something back. It's just natural. But if we never take in any information in, what are we teaching people? There's an imbalance to that. So it explores a bit of that metaphor, but it will give you a start to finish view on all the hand muscles and grip strength attributes that you need in your life.
The book is called Great Hands, Great Life. For those of you who are listening as well as watching, it is available on Amazon and other where bookstores are distributed. We're going to take a commercial break now. We will be right back. Stay right there.
Welcome to Renew Laser and Skincare, where beauty meets technology. From laser hair removal and anti-aging treatments to facial sculpting, acne care, and injectables, our expert team helps you look and feel your best with customized, results-driven care. Located in Littleton, Colorado, we offer a comfortable, welcoming space and cutting-edge treatments tailored just for you. Visit renewlaserandskincare.com to book your transformation today. Renew Laser and Skincare, where confidence begins.
Hi, I'm Adriana. Welcome to Fit Bites. Today we're exposing the hidden sugar in so-called healthy foods and why it matters more for your hormones, your energy, and long-term health. Foods marketed as healthy, like say granola, flavored yogurts, protein bars, smoothies, and even salad dressings can be loaded with added sugar that spikes your blood sugar, crashes your energy, and it keeps your body in fat storing mode. Now, this isn't just about weight, it's about blood sugar regulation, insulin sensitivity, and inflammation. High sugar intake can worsen symptoms for both men and women, like belly fat, like brain fog, mood swings, and hormone imbalances. Read your labels. Look for sneaky ingredients like cane juice, brown rice syrup, maltodextrin, and anything ended in ose. The less sugar your body has to battle, the better your energy metabolism and your hormonal health will be. Take back control of your food, because what looks healthy isn't always helping. Stay tuned for more Fit Bites with Adriana. Dr. Terry, tell us a little bit about the Hand Plus Master System, if I'm saying that right, and then why this system, why it sets itself apart from anything else out there, such as the squeeze ball and such.
Yeah, it's completely the modern version of what hand exercise is and what exercise has to be. So it trains. It's a product. So this is what it looks like when you see it. It looks like the little toy situation, but just like the motion I was doing, all you do is load it onto your hand. It's easy to load onto, and then I'm going to take. I'll just do a quick demonstration. So all you're going to do is you're going to squeeze against the ball for count of one. You're going to open and spread for count of one. And then to train, so that trains the 9 muscles that close the hand, and that trains the 9 muscles that open the hand. We've talked about carpal tunnel syndrome. If I just do the closing and opening and spreading, I train the 18 muscles of the hand. And then if we want to do full grip, we add what is called a figure 8. So you just move the body, the wrist with the hand open through its full natural range of motion, and then squeeze, open, couple of figure 8s. That's the figure 8 exercise. So you'll see, and if somebody tries that figure 8 exercise, once they try it, they'll realize how statically they've trained their forearm. And even we deal with MMA guys, we deal with power lifters, and it doesn't matter how big the forearm looks, it's usually very static. So we can train all those 9 muscles that close, the 9 muscles that open and spread, and the 9 muscles of the forearm through full natural ranges of motion. You just can't get more complete than that. And that exercise literally we will take, I don't care how strong you start out, it'll take 30 seconds to a minute the first couple of weeks you do it. And then some people will work up to 1 or 2 minutes max. So it's really super easy and convenient to do. And we get people away from this mentality that I'm just going to squeeze something, and that's going to lend you into more imbalance. I'll add quickly too, Adriana, that you talked about earlier in the show about grip strength and life longevity, cardiovascular health, mental health. And that's the big thing, is if I take the hands through their full natural range of motion with proper resistance, now I'm stimulating maximum blood flow to my distal upper extremity, like all the way to my hands. And that's going to stimulate blood flow and lymph drainage. Your lymph ducts are basically located just behind your collarbones. So everybody that wants to get maximum circulation and lymph drainage, and I just watched one of your ads, and you're talking about toxins in our environment and trying to get sugar and make sure our body's processing things properly. This is for everybody. It's not just for athletes and musicians and workers and gamers. This is for life longevity. When we get our hands trained properly through full ranges of motion, that's a health habit. That's not just fitness and performance, even though it is certainly fitness and performance.
So obviously you have a website. I want to bring that up and talk a little bit about if someone wants to get their hands on the product, where can they go and the details?
Yeah, the best place to go is to handmasterplus.com. I know in your show we're gonna post a 10% discount as well. They're not expensive to begin with, and it's one of the things we talk about is uh, obviously I own the business, so it sounds like, oh, I think everybody should have one. I really do, and they're not expensive. If somebody said these things cost $150 to bring into your home and bring into your lifestyle, it would be well worth $150, and I could say whatever number I wanted to. That's how confident I am that it will train all 27 muscles. It is a controlled exercise. It's easy to understand, and the outcomes you'll get as far as your strength and balance and circulation. The circulation part is a big factor that sometimes if people see this little ball, this little like toy looking thing, and they'll minimize it, they won't get it. But I will tell you, we've had thermography studies done after the person uses the product, and it's not even a fair fight as far as the blood flow and the lymph drainage that it brings to your body. So it's a 10% discount, but I hope people don't think dollars are a really limiting choice on this, because if this thing was worth $500, I really do. You bring it into your life, you use it on a regular basis, and it's invaluable. And it's just a simple exercise. You learn about your body, and then you see what your body can do when you actually train it properly. It's a wonderful product. It's a wonderful habit.
It's for our listeners, of course, as well as viewers. The discount code is lifelong10, lifelong10. So you can check out the website. And then, real quickly, we wanted to just talk about that you're lending your voice, and you being an expert in hand and grip strength, and all that implies. You've got some upcoming events that you're going to be speaking of, and this is one of many types of events that you speak at. I know they're hockey related, but it's not just hockey where you speak at. Can you talk a little bit about the upcoming events that you've got going on?
Yeah, no, thanks. That's a good opportunity to just show some of the things we're doing in the near future. But yeah, we do speak at all kinds of events. We speak at health events. We've done a lot of music events, but sports is one of our focuses. And I am Canadian, so one of the big things that we've worked at since for a long time is, but by law, we have to be hockey players almost. Kind of tongue in cheek, but I've worked with hockey and I played hockey, so I understand the mechanics. So one of the shows that is coming up for us would be the Hockey Summit. It's the big show that all the athletic trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, and equipment managers will be at. And that's representing NHL teams, AHL, ECHL, like all the professional leagues, all the way to junior hockey and even high school hockey. So we speak to an array of people, work with an array of teams, and it's the same stuff. We're looking to maximize performance, prevent these very preventable injuries. Hockey's one where we learned a lot, to be honest with you. We learned a lot about the static position of the wrist, where the wrist doesn't go through much of a range of motion. So it's helped us out a lot. We're also doing a show in the summer as well, where we will be touring into the Minnesota Wild training room, and we're going to be working with that is with pro hockey chiropractors. And that's, again, all the teams. There's chiropractors on I think every one of the NHL teams and most of the minor league professional teams, as well as getting into, again, college and high school teams. So we are there. We've been with the hockey groups for a number of years. And so they are starting to, slowly starting to bring our product into the training side. It's been into the rehab side for a long time. There's a lot of, again, finger, thumb, wrist, a lot of elbow injuries in hockey, and our product is pretty front and center as far as the recovery rehab exercises in hockey. But now we're starting to really see a lot of the training that people are using these exercises to train and prepare their athletes properly. So it's all a progression, and that's just some examples of what we do in hockey. But we work in baseball, football, basketball. You name a grip sport, we're there. Lacrosse is a big one that we work in. Gymnastics. I could go on and on about that stuff. Motocross. But, we do a lot of work in music, and we do a lot of work in the workplace with ergonomists. and we're really getting into grip training with gamers. I know it sounds crazy, but
Oh, there's a lot of them out there.
well,
And
the gamer stuff is unbelievably large, and and the understanding is unbelievably small. But we're getting there.
yeah, and we just wanted to highlight that for our viewers that this is just, obviously you're an expert leading the expert, hockey chiropractor. So I think it speaks to what you bring to the table, that you are part of this. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're coming back.
Are you pouring your heart and soul into your business, but nobody seems to notice? Are you struggling to get your offer, your expertise, your program seen by the right people? Well, you're not alone. At Lunar Marketer, we believe every business deserves to shine. That's why we specialize in boosting your visibility with a powerful mix of strategies that actually work without the complicated systems or outdated outreach. Scan the QR code now to schedule your free consultation or email us to learn more.
We've been spending quality time with our guest today, Dr. Terry Zachary. He is a hand expert, grip strength training expert, and all the things of connecting how our grip strength and being able to take care of our hands, it matters in so many different areas of our life. Dr. Terry, where can we find you in the virtual space?
Yeah, I think, Adriana, the best place is always, we've got a couple of websites. Handmasterplus.com is the main one to look for information on this grip, specifically on grip training. It's got a lot of information that people can look specifically for what their kind of daily application is. DocZac.com is our main website. It's got a couple of other kind of interests that we have and that we help people out. We have a 3-minute stretch that's on there that's fantastic for just kind of the daily good habits. We're also, as far as social media goes, one of our main places to find us is YouTube. So we have some explaining videos there. We do a lot of LinkedIn because we work with a lot of health and fitness professionals. And then we're available on X and Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're developing all of those and a little bit of a presence. And the reason we do those, Adriana, I'm sure it's just like your kind of pursuit of trying to change the world and have them be more fit, and understanding why it's important, this fitness aspect. That's why we're on the social media. We just want to be able to have a far reach and affect as many people as we can. We've got a spot, we've got a spot in this market where it's so poorly understood, and we want people to be affected wherever they live. And a lot of people live on social media now.
Yeah, that's the norm. What is the one message, before we close, what is the one message that you want our viewers to take away from our conversation?
That's a great question. I think that the one message I would say is to like it's a great experience to learn about your body. And learning about your body, we're going to teach you this area of your body, which is grip, and how important it is. So once you know about your body, it gives you more confidence in what you can actually have responsibility of personally day to day. Once you know this, 9 muscles close the hand, 9 muscles open the hand, 9 muscles control the position of the wrist, you know more about grip than probably most health and fitness people. And now you'll know it's easy to exercise. But learn about your body. Your body's fascinating. It's smart. If we learn how it was built, we follow it and we say, okay, I see how that's built. And now I'm going to that's how I discovered the exercise. I respect the body. You work with it, and the results are always fantastic when you do a good job doing that.
That's profound. That's something we need to take away with. And Dr. Terry Zachary, we really appreciate you just sharing your knowledge and insight on why this is so very important to so many of us, not just golfers and hockey players, but anyone who does any sort of repetitive movement and says, oh my goodness, my hand, my wrist, it feels fine. It feels a little bit funny. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to speak to your audience. It's really a great platform you have, and I sure appreciate the time.
Absolutely. And we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We appreciate their help and support. Biomed Mobile IV, Dapper No Code, Launchpad, Renew Laser and Skincare, Synergize Fitness as well. And we are on the web as well. Our website is thehealthrevolutiontv.com. There you can find information about our newsletter. You can certainly email us with any show episode ideas that you might have. In the corner of your screen for you viewers is our QR code. If that's easier for you to grab, please feel free to do so. And then, as always, as a reminder, you can find us on the Arion TV channel on E360 TV every single week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, on all the major distribution handles. That is all the time that we have for today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.